The difference between a debit and a credit card is the debit card is one that actually is using your money, and the credit card is something that you actually are using the bank's money. There is a clear difference between the two. There is variances where a debit card can use an overdraft, but generally it is your own money used when using a debit card. I would only advise someone to get a credit card when they are responsible enough to pay it off and not use it for living expenses like day-to-day groceries and so forth. It should be used for unforeseen circumstances like a funeral, to pay for that, or any unforeseen type of credit that's required. However, if you do have to use it in certain instances, like you started a new job and you want to purchase clothing, make sure that you pay it off as quickly as possible, because it very easily turns into a revolving loan that you can never get yourself out of. A credit score is basically a track record of how well you use and you actually repay credit. So it is very important for you to look at your credit score. One is to know what your credit score is, and two is to actually build that credit score. The main reason why it's so important is because your credit score determines the cost the cost of being able to obtain credit. What that means is the rate of interest that you get when you borrow money. To give you a simple example, if you take R1 million loan, and if you have a good credit score and are able to secure prime less 1%, that 1% change in interest rate can save you 160,000 Rand over the entire term of that loan. So there's many ways to check your credit score. One of them would be with the bank that you are with. Many of them on their banking apps allow you to check your credit score, or you can register to some of these providers that provide that, like ClearScore or Experian, who will, for a small fee, give you your monthly credit score. The first decision that I see young people make a mistake on when engaging on their finances is walking into a dealership or looking for a house and asking the question is, what do I qualify for? Because 9 out of 10 times they take the maximum that they qualify for. And that sets you up for failure, because we know that interest rates can fluctuate. There's unforeseen expenses that can come up and end up putting you into debt that you cannot afford. The other mistake that I see young people making today is going out and splurging on things that are everyday use. So in other words, entertainment, clothing, spending on high-end cars, when the need that is required for now is not that big. And what you end up doing by using credit to purchase and sustain that lifestyle is you are borrowing from future income. And that is a spiral that is very hard to get out of. And what you will end up being is retiring with insufficient income to cover your retirement. Young people are often spending on experiences, on clothing, on food that go beyond the necessities. Some examples of them would be high brand clothes, coffee versus going and buying instant coffee and making it yourself. So Starbucks coffee, all of these things eat into your disposable income. Income that you could be putting away and saving towards a deposit on a house, a deposit on a car, or even for your retirement. So it's interesting to determine between good credit and bad credit. Good credit is generally when you're taking credit to acquire something that appreciates in value. An example of that would be a house. It could be an investment. Those are types of things that are good credit. Bad credit is something that has little to no value after you've purchased it. As good as your shoe collection is, unless you are buying soccer boots and you are Ronaldo, that is not an appreciating asset. The rule of thumb is when you are using credit, use it to purchase something that appreciates over time. So when deciding to buy a car or a house, The unfortunate reality is that a car is a depreciating asset most of the time. So when deciding what to purchase, I would recommend purchasing something that appreciates, which would be a house. Over time, if you purchase a house, it grows in value. But there are a few things that you need to caveat. You need to buy at the right price and you need to buy in the right location. How to build up a credit score is a question that I get often. The best way when you're starting off is to start off using store credit. So like a Truett's account or an Edgar's account. Why do I say use these? Because many of them offer a 6 months interest-free option. Now, even if you have the cash to buy the clothing item that you require, I would recommend taking it over the 6 months interest-free, taking the cash, put it into a savings account, which you will earn interest on, and draw from that a savings account to make the monthly payments. What you do by doing this is actually build up your credit record and shows how you handle credit. And you've done so by not paying any interest. So student loans are definitely a great option when you do not have the finance to be able to pay for your studies. However, you need to be cognizant of the fact that this will accrue interest over time. So there are things to note when taking out a student loan. One, make sure that the loan is used for necessary items only, like your tuition fees as well as your books. The next part of it is try and pay it off as soon as possible because there's compound interest being added on to that, and you would rather pay off the loan as quick as possible than save, because most of the time the interest on savings is lower than the interest on a loan acquired.